I want to talk a little bit about GMS. SonicWall's GMS server. GMS is another solution, much like Kaseya, and it's still really expensive. Last I heard, and I we don't typically sell the GMS server, but the last I heard, it costs about 20 grand to set up a GMS server. So it's quite an investment. You probably want a lot of SonicWalls in the field before you start using this. SonicWall's GMS is basically Kaseya for SonicWalls. It's an RMM tool that lets you monitor and manage the SonicWalls that are out in the field. We let you get started at literally $10 a month.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, the price difference is just astronomical. And, eventually it will make sense to buy your own if you've got like 100 SonicWalls out in the field and you're trying to monitor them or manage them. But up until that point, it's not, it's just not worth it. So it's good to get this kind of solution where, you don't want to have to go on site. You don't, the less you're on site, the better. The only people that you want going on site is your sales team to take their CEO or CTO or whoever out to lunch. Those are the people that go on site. The people, you don't want to be that guy. You want to be at home or in the office or wherever it is that you do your work, getting it done. And like I said, the faster you get it done, the more endpoints you can handle, the more money you make. So SonicWall's GMS is really quite cool. The most important thing that I think it does is it generates a report. And I'll talk about that in a second. Now that I've told you that that's the most important thing, I'm going to go back and tell you all the non-important things that it does. It does things like update the firmware. It does where you can remotely update the firmware on the devices. It does things like allow you to remotely administrate services such as content filtering, where if you have a office-wide content filter, you can use the GMS to manage that. You can also, you can do that without having GMS. If you write down the IP of the SonicWall and you set the SonicWall up in such a way that you can access it from outside the network, you can set all of that stuff up, but GMS automates everything there. So what you do then is you literally just go into GMS, click on the SonicWall you want to manage, and it takes you right to the management console on that SonicWall without you having to have set up anything. It's all just built in, which is fantastic. So it's just such a pain trying to remember IP addresses and keeping track of them and which ones are for which SonicWalls. It also alerts you when services are going to expire. So, SonicWall charges you every year for things like content filtering, gateway antivirus and stuff like that. It'll let you know that it's going to be a problem. But one of the cool things that it does is it generates a report. And actually, you know what? I wasn't planning to do this, but let me pull up that report. We have a demo of it on our site. I'm just going to pull this up real quick. Give me half a second here. Give you guys something to look at other than...
There's nothing like AdLib. You know what happens, though? Yesterday we did a reverse presentation where I demoed Connect Booster, and then I actually go off and... What did I black screen for how long there, Dan?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Could be worse.
I felt like I should initiate the webcam and start dancing in front of it for a little. It was just a brief intermission.
Here we go.
Cool.
Okay, sample offlist weekly firewall status report. So it does a couple of things for you. This is one of the. I'll just briefly preface it with this. This is one of the few reports that I think is worth showing a customer, because most reports that you give to customers are too technical for them. This is a technical report, but you can explain it really easily to them, and I'll show you how in just a minute. Obviously, right here is just a summary. This is the number of hours that they were online, and you can see that there was actually a little bit of downtime on one of these firewalls, but or on one of the days. This is a report for one firewall. You can show them bandwidth usage. So this is totaled up by day. We'll see it by machine in just a few minutes. Here's the top bandwidth by megabytes sorted by machines. So you can see who's sucking down all the bandwidth in the office. Now, sometimes that's not important. Sometimes, especially when the network keeps slowing down for no reason at all, it's really important. And you might find that one person is using 745 megabytes in a month. Maybe they're just sitting on the internet radio, or maybe they're just watching YouTube videos all day or Netflix. You never really know. They probably use a lot more than 745 megabytes if they were on Netflix, though. But you can see what that might look like, and you can show them which machines are the offending machines on the network. They also have a bunch of IP addresses down here. Web activity. You can show them which sites are getting the most activity on the web. So you can see that this guy actually he used 400 megabytes of their bandwidth that month. Or this is actually, I'm sorry, this is a weekly report. 400 megabytes of bandwidth that week were used for MP3 streaming. And the Sonic Wall gathers that information, puts it together, figures it out. And so when you sit down and talk with the business owner about it, you can say, look, you guys are using a lot of bandwidth for streaming. Do you know about that? They may be fine with it, and it may not be a problem. But especially when they have more than one office that they're managing, they may be surprised. And so that's something that you can show them. Here's another website, College Week Live. I have no idea what that is. I'm kind of scared to go and see. Here's a whole bunch of Google Video sites. So this report is obviously a little bit older because Google Video no longer exists, but it's the same report. The report hasn't changed. Top web users. You can see, obviously, it's sorted it again. Who's using the most bandwidth? And so, the report goes on, and it just breaks down more and more by detail to show you exactly what it is that's going on in your customer's network. I can't tell you how many times this report has been used in a useful scenario where it showed customers either slowdowns on their network, it showed them that their customers were browsing Farmville, that their employees were browsing Farmville all day and weren't actually doing any work. It shows that, it's just, it's very useful to business owners, especially when you sit down and work through it with them. It also gives you another opportunity to talk to them, where you can work that into your regular routine. So this is a pretty cool solution. So SonicWall GMS, very powerful if you're working with Sonic Walls. We also call it the Triple Play program, the Sonic Wall program, because it's actually 3 parts. The GMS server, which is probably the most important part for most of our partners, is also backed up by a good program where we help price the Sonic Walls a little bit better than you would be if you were just getting started. So if you're thinking about buying a Sonic Wall, you're probably going to get a better price through us than if you go directly with Sonic Walls, because we deal, I want to say we sell $1 million. $1 million? I might be wrong. We're pretty high up there, though. At least a couple $100,000, but I think it's worked its way up in the last few years in Sonic Wall devices. So we make pretty good. We get pretty good pricing on Sonic Walls direct from Sonic Wall, and they've allowed us to turn around and deliver that to our partners. So people who are working with us to grow their Sonic Wall business can start by working with us, and then when you get up to a point where you're doing a bunch of sales with Sonic Walls yourself, then you can tie it into your and start working more with them direct. But we help you get going. We help you get started. We also the second piece of that Triple Play program is we help you configure them. So we have a configuration that will help you set up on the Sonic Walls to get you started, so that you don't have to sit there and just bang your head against the wall trying to figure out how Sonic Wall does things different from Cisco or different from Juniper, or however you want to do that. So we've got this completed program where it's literally A to Z, and all you'll really have to do is just do a couple quick customizations for your customers' network, set them up, and then just get the reports every week or every month. You can do it weekly or monthly, and that's up to you.